What's up, guys? It's Dan from Coin Bureau Trading, back at it again with another crypto market update. Today, we're going to take a look at whether we're about to see another leg higher in crypto or if today's going to be a sell the news event. If this is the kind of content that you enjoy, then be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ping that notification bell. Before we get started, do keep in mind that nothing in this video is financial advice. It's just my personal analysis of the crypto market. Your analysis could be different, and if it is, that's awesome, because the more difference of opinion that we have, the better traders and the better investors we're all going to become. So with that being said, guys, I want to start by highlighting something I'm sure all of you will know by now, and that's that the US has announced a trade deal with China. They didn't provide any details about that. They announced it yesterday. It was confirmed by Chinese officials. I think they did a press conference in Switzerland shortly after the White House did their announcement and confirmed that, yeah, we've reached a deal. And the details of this deal will be released today. Why are they waiting to release the details until today? I think it's pretty obvious. I think they want to announce the details once the markets are open to have a maximum impact on the markets. They don't want to announce it over a weekend when no one's paying attention. Whatever the reason is, guys, when these details do get released, it's going to be moving the markets in a pretty big way. And that's, of course, begs the question, are we going to have a sell the news or are we going to have another leg higher? I lean towards having another leg higher for the simple reason that everyone who's analyzing stocks, analyzing crypto, you look at the charts, most people are looking at the charts and they're saying, this move seems a little bit too fast, a little bit overextended. This rally has gone on a little bit too long, right? And they're all saying we need to see some kind of pullback before heading higher. And of course, a lot of people in the market are still short. A lot of people have been taking profits, selling into this recent rally. And of course, I think that the result of that is that most people are just expecting prices to start rolling over again. So of course, the most painful outcome would be for prices to just keep skyrocketing higher, right? And as you guys will see in 2 seconds, it does look like the charts support this. So of course, we'll cover Bitcoin and Ethereum and altcoins as well. So stick around for that. But starting with Bitcoin, this is on the 4-hour chart. I don't normally zoom in this much, but when you're having, I guess, this kind of like super choppy price action that we saw basically over the weekend, basically over the last 4 days, Bitcoin has basically been chopping here around 105K, which was actually my personal target for how high Bitcoin could go once it did break above 100K. So that kind of target was hit. You guys will know that if you watched my live stream with Aaron a few days back. Definitely do check that out. I will be referring to that live stream a little bit again later. But anyways, point being, guys, is that based on my very basic measurements here, you can kind of make the argument that what we're seeing here with Bitcoin is kind of like another bull flag basically here on the short-term time frame between 97K and 104K. The difference between those two levels is 7K. And of course, that would give us a target of around 111,000. And I do highlight here that there might be a little bit basically a pretty potential pop above that level, like maybe, let's say, I don't know, it's like 114 or 115K as a result of some kind of short squeeze, right? Because so many people are off size. I'm sure a lot of people have been shorting around this level. They think this is a local high. It's going to start rolling over again. So I think there is fuel for another short squeeze driven rally. But some people will say, actually, it was like spot buying and whatever. Let's not get into the details there, guys. Point being is that I do think that it's possible that 111,000 for Bitcoin will be hit later today. Again, it depends on what happens with the details of this China trade deal. If those details are not, like super bullish, then yes, Bitcoin will probably roll back over right back down to this 97K level, which, I don't know, that would be a lot, like a 5% correction or like not even. So nothing too crazy, and basically still within normal range, but we'll have to take things one step at a time, and it's safe to say that today's going to be very interesting. Anyways, guys, in case you didn't notice, we were using Binance there. The Coin Bureau deals page has a 20% trading fee discount and up to $600 in bonuses. That's the biggest deal you can get on Binance. It's available exclusively through the Coin Bureau. Taking advantage of that deal is super simple. Click that link in the description or in the comments. It takes you to a page that looks like this. Enter your email or phone number. It takes 2 minutes to create an account. Every single crypto you could possibly want is on Binance. If you're unable to use Binance for whatever reason, do keep in mind that the Coin Bureau deals page does have exchange deals for users in the US, for users in the UK. We also have hardware wallets, bots, trading bots, and a whole bunch of other stuff that can help you out. Even like a tax software, I guess, is a little bit late for that. If you're filing taxes this late, you might be in a little bit of trouble. But in all seriousness, the Coin Bureau deals page has everything you could possibly need, guys. So do check out those deals using the link down in the description. It helps us out. It helps you out. It helps out our partners there. So it's a win-win-win for everyone. Anyways, guys, moving on now over to Ethereum. As you might have guessed with the Bollinger Bands here on the monthly, for those of you who don't know, the way that I use the Bollinger Bands is I basically start, let's say, on the daily chart, and I say, okay, is this crypto above the Bollinger Band moving average on the daily? In Ethereum's case, it obviously is. It's very far above that level. So we zoom out to the weekly. Is Ethereum above that level? It is now, which is pretty impressive. Like, I actually wasn't anticipating that Ethereum would get above this level, but it is. So then logically, what is the next level to look at? That's the Bollinger Band moving average here on the monthly, which is around 2,800. I think it's like 2,780 or something, like 2,760. So I do think that ETH will get up to that level again, potentially by the end of today, if we do get a bullish announcement here with the China trade deal. If not, then if we zoom in back here, guys, sorry, to the weekly, it's possible that ETH would fall to something like 2,400 or 2,200 or something. I don't think ETH would see that big of a pullback. I think ETH has a lot of strength behind it now. There's a lot of momentum building there, and it's going to be really interesting to see, what happens with ETH in the coming days. And of course, even here, just zooming into the 4 hour, you can see a similar pattern to what we're seeing with Bitcoin, where you're seeing kind of like a, not really as much of a bull flag, but a short squeeze that's forming here on the 4 hour. Of course, when these outer bands start squeezing, that tells you you're about to see a big move, just like we saw back here. And we're starting basically to be on the brink of a similar thing. Is the move going to be higher? Is the move going to be lower? The fact of the matter is that no one can say for sure. But like I said, I lean towards the move being higher just because that would be the most painful outcome, especially for all the people who either have been selling ETH in this rally here, finally, after God knows how many months or weeks of waiting, they're like, I'm going to get out of here before ETH collapses again, right? That seems to be the consensus view. And of course, that tells me that ETH's probably going to power a little bit higher here, up to 2,800, 2,900, which you can see is also kind of like a key resistance level, just even without the Bollinger Bands. Anyways, guys, moving on now, I guess, to altcoins more broadly. This is where things get super interesting. When I did my live stream with Aaron, I pointed out that when I was looking at the pattern, when I was looking at the pattern for others, and for those of you who don't know, others basically measures all the cryptos outside of the top 10 by market cap. I know it's technically like the top 300 or top 400 or whatever. But the point being is that this is a nice proxy measure for altcoins. As you can see, it's been bouncing pretty hard. And what's funny is when we did the live stream with Aaron here, I think it was on Thursday when we saw this first green candle. And I said, this pattern that we're seeing forming here, this bottoming pattern looks way more, it looks like basically an accelerated version of what we saw here last summer. Everyone was saying that we're still in the early stages here somewhere. It's going to be another 4 months before altcoins recover. And I'm like, I don't think so. I actually think we're going to see a rally, and it's possible that it could go up only. And that's basically what's been happening. And we're kind of in this phase right here, basically, before another leg higher. And does that mean that we're going to go up only? Honestly, it's possible. But I do think that in this case, on the way up, especially because there's so many people, even if we look historically here, guys, around these levels, especially up around, let's say 310, 330 billion, somewhere around the 300 billion range, let's say, for sake of simplicity, there does seem to be a lot of resistance, just because there's probably a lot of people, once we're up around that 300, the 330 billion range for others, that's probably where most people, or a lot of people, are at break even. And they're also going to start, kind of taking profits and thinking, I'm going to get out of here while I can, because I don't want the crypto market to enter a bear market. And of course, if we do see others get all the way back up here to this upper resistance line, which I've been watching for I think over a year now, if we get back up to this long-term resistance trend line, this is when you're going to start to see people getting bullish again, especially once we get back above that. Most altcoins will be kind of back in profit. Again, not all, but most of them. If you're holding meme coins, I'm sorry, you're probably not going to be doing too hot. But most altcoins will be back in profit once we're back above that level. And I think that's when people are going to start getting excited, and that's when we're going to really start to see this acceleration and a massive blow off top for altcoins over the summer. And again, I do think that's probably going to happen sometime in June. I don't think it's going to happen as soon as this month, but who knows? If we do just see an up only melt up, then it could happen sooner than later. The last thing I want to mention, if you made it this far, I want to give you guys a little bit of extra alpha. So I've seen a lot of people, and of course, a lot of people actually have also been asking me about the crypto fear and greed index here, because the fear and greed index, depending on whichever indicator you're using, we'll actually check out coin market cap here. So when we're looking here, guys, fear and greed, whichever fear and greed index you want to look at, it's showing that it's into greed, and a lot of people are asking oh, does this mean it's a local top? Does that mean we're going to see a pullback or a crash or whatever? As a fun fact, guys, before I worked for the Coin Bureau, I worked for a sentiment analysis startup in crypto, and I'm very skeptical of these sentiment analysis tools because I know intimately how they work. And the one thing to really keep in mind with these sentiment analysis tools is that they are measuring the sentiment of the people who are around, right? They are not measuring the sentiment of the people who aren't involved at all. And this kind of ties into something I've been highlighting a lot, I think even here and also in the Coin Bureau Club in the Discord, is that if you look actually at the Coin Bureau or any other major crypto YouTube channel for that matter, you'll see that the views are really low, and they're literally at levels not seen since early 2023 when we were kind of in the depths of the bear market. So what does that tell you? That tells you that, okay, maybe there's some because the way that these fear and greed indexes work is that they will typically scan social media and look at how much altcoins are rallying versus Bitcoin and stuff like that. So what this indicator is probably doing is it's looking at what people are saying, for example, on X, and it's saying, oh, a lot of people are suddenly really bullish. So I'm going to pump up this fear and greed index. But the thing is that the small amount of people you can, I would definitely make this argument, the small amount of people who are still around and who are still bullish, how do I explain this? This basically the small amount of people who are still here are the ones who are most likely to be bullish, right? All the people who are bearish have already sold and already left. So as a result, you have like a, I guess you could say survivorship bias, which I think was a good way one of our members explained it. I guess an alternative way of explaining it is you kind of like have a survivorship bias where the only people who are left are the ones who are bullish because all the bears already left, right? They already sold and they left. So obviously the fear and greed index is reading super high, saying, wow, everyone's super greedy. And yeah, it's because the only ones who are left are bulls like me, and Aaron for that matter. But if you look, guys, like in the general interest in crypto, whether it's like YouTube views or Google searches, these trends are still extremely low, like literally at 2023 levels, and that tells you that yeah, okay, maybe the few people who are here are feeling greedy, but the amount of people, the amount of new money, the amount of new investors, existing retail investors that'll come back, that's still a number that can go way higher than like whatever it is here. Yeah, like this greed could go all the way up here, and it's just going to be greed, 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 greed for months. That's theoretically possible, right? And that's again like one of these kind of deceptive things about these indicators. And I guess the altcoin season one in this case is maybe a little bit more accurate, and you could see like we're nowhere close to kind of getting into a proper altcoin season, which of course suggests there's a lot more upside to come. But anyways, guys, if you did make it this far and you did find that information helpful, then be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, ping that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one.